MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
All this morning, we're going to give you the latest in state and local races throughout Montana following Tuesday's primary election.
A new border policy kicks in. I'm Jared Hill with details of President Biden's new executive action limiting asylum claims and the pushback from both sides of the aisle.
If you live in Montana, that means you live in bear country, and as hiking season ramps up, you're going to want to know how to use one of these. I'm Cassidy Powers, and I spoke to Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks about the basics of bear spray.
The basics to be bear-aware,
That's right. You got to be safe.
Gotta know it if you're going to live in Montana,
Yeah.
especially Southwest Montana. Those little guys
and
everywhere.
definitely, I have one of those in at least two of the cars.
I think I have it in my car, and then maybe even in my backpack if I take it hiking or
Probably
something.
time to replay. We'll have to watch Cassidy's report and figure it all out.
Gonna get the latest right from the horse's mouth.
Temperatures this morning holding into the 50s, a couple of 60s. It is a warm up morning, and it's mainly because we've had some cloud cover this morning. That is falling apart pretty quickly. I expect by the noon hour for us to see full sunshine across the area and stay that way for several days. Likely to be dealing with daytime highs into the 70s today, but we've got some wind still. Wind speeds between 10 and 20 miles an hour, gusting up near 30. That's going to be our big drawback today. Tomorrow, these temperatures continue to climb. I'll talk about that weekend forecast in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you very much, Matt. And throughout the show this morning, we're going to give you the most up-to-date election results from statewide and from some local races as well. You can see those results scrolling at the bottom of your screen, and we'll also have a complete list of those results over on our website. So we're going to begin this morning with the race for Montana's Western House District seat. Now incumbent Ryan Zinke with 58,000 votes. 74% of that vote goes to Mr. Zinke. He is the incumbent for this seat, so he is going to be moving forward to face off against Monica Tranel, the Democratic candidate, who was the only Democratic candidate on that ticket. So she will be moving forward with incumbent Ryan Zinke. Now for Montana U.S. House District 2, this is the Eastern District seat. It's a crowded race, both on the Democratic and on the Republican ticket. For this Democratic ticket, John Driscoll, 34% of the vote going to Mr. Driscoll, followed by Steve Held with 26%, Mink Cabrera, and Kevin Ham. Now, for the Republican side of House District 2 race, Troy Downing taking it away with 36% of the vote, 35,000 votes going to Mr. Downing. He is followed by Denny Rayberg, Stacy Zinn, also Elsie Arntzen, Ken Boger, and Rick Holden, respectively, getting all those votes. Now, and also, again, it's a crowded race. Joel Crowder, Kyle Austin, and also Ed Walker, wrapping up that House District 2 seat race. Now, this race, U.S. Senate, this is one that we are watching closely here in the Treasure State, but also on the national scene. The Democratic ticket, incumbent Jon Tester getting 97% of the vote. That's 96,000 votes going to Mr. Tester. He is followed by Michael Hummert, who gained 3% of the vote. Now, on the Republican side of the ticket, Tim Sheehy coming away with 74% of the vote, nearly 3/4 of the votes going to Tim Sheehy. That's 129,000 votes, nearly 130,000. He is followed by Brad Johnson with 19% and Charles Walkingchild Sr., who got 7%, or about 12,000 votes. Now, for the Montana governor race, incumbent Greg Gianforte came away with about 3/4 of the votes, about 75% going to Mr. Gianforte with 134,000 votes. He is followed by Tanner Smith with 25% of the votes. And on the Democratic ticket, Ryan Busse is going to be advancing forward with 71% of the votes, about 65,000 votes going to Mr. Busse. He is followed by Jim Hunt on that ticket. Now for a look at your national headlines. With immigration a top issue on voters' minds this election year, President Joe Biden has taken sweeping executive action to severely restrict asylum claims at the southern border. During his announcement yesterday, the president said he would have preferred to have had a bipartisan immigration legislation from Congress to handle the border crisis. Instead, there has been bipartisan criticism of his new rule. CBS News' Jared Hill has more from New York.
Overnight, a major change to U.S. immigration policy took effect. President Biden's new rule partially bans some asylum claims at the southern border.
To protect America as a land that welcomes immigrants, We must first secure the border and secure it now.
The executive action allows the administration to ban migrants from claiming asylum if they cross outside of official points of entry along the southern border. This would kick in when daily crossings reach 2,500, giving Border Patrol the authority to quickly reject and deport thousands of people. The new restrictions would be paused 14 days after the weekly average of daily illegal border crossings drops below 1,500. The last time that happened was in July of 2020.
This is a total disaster by Biden.
Prominent Republicans called the move too little too late, while some progressive Democrats argue it's a step in the wrong direction.
This action falls short of our goal of a just and fair immigration policy.
The president says his executive action is also meant to deter migrants from coming to the southern border. But Venezuelan asylum seeker Ramon Eduardo, who is still in Mexico, says he doesn't think the new policy will stop migrants like him from making the dangerous trek north. Legal challenges are almost certain. The American Civil Liberties Union tells CBS News it plans to sue to block the policy, calling it illegal. Jared Hill, CBS News.
And last night, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said she believes the president's executive order can withstand any legal challenges. The same day as his announcement, Arizona's state legislature passed a bill that would allow voters to decide if local law enforcement should have the authority to arrest and jail undocumented migrants in the state. Now for a look back over on our political watch for our election results from the primary. We are going to kick it off with the public instruction, Superintendent of Public Instruction. Coming away with 62% of the vote, we have Susie Hedelin getting 92,000 votes, followed by Cheryl Allen, who received 38% of the votes on that Republican ticket. Now for the Montana State Auditor, this is for the Republican ticket, James Brown coming away with 70% of the vote, followed by James Willoughby with 30% of that vote. Now for the Montana Public Service Commissioner for District 2, we have Brad Molnar, 52% of the vote going to Mr. Molnar, followed by Kirk Bushman, who gained 48% of that vote. Now looking at the District 3 for the Public Service Commissioner seat, we have Jeff Wolburn with 40% of the vote, followed by Susan Nordwick with 38%, and then Rob Elwood gained 22% of the vote. And finally, Montana Supreme Court, these are all nonpartisan except for the Clerk and Recorder seat. This is for the Chief Justice seat, Corey Swanson with 46% of the vote, or 112,000 votes, followed by Jeremiah Lynch and Doug Marshall. Taking a look at the Supreme Court District Justice number 3 seat, Catherine Bidgeray got away with 49% of the vote, nearly 50% of the vote going to Catherine on that one. Dan Wilson following her with 34% of the vote, and Jerry O'Neill with 17% of the vote for that Supreme Court District Justice number 3 seat. Now taking a look at the District Clerk Supreme Court seat, this is a partisan race. This is on the Democratic ticket. Aaron Ferris Olson got 82% of that vote, followed by Jordan Ophis with 18% of the vote there. Now taking a look at the Republican side of the ticket, Bowen Greenwood received 52% of the vote there, and Jason Ellsworth, 48% of the vote going to Mr. Ellsworth. And we are going to be taking a look at some of the wildfire mitigation on the federal scene. Federal wildland firefighting agencies are announcing the fire management goals and responsibilities for the 2024 season. Those federal agencies include the Department of Interior and the Department of Agriculture, which oversees the U.S. Forest Service. The agencies have a goal of fielding more than 17,000 wildland firefighters to support collaborative forest management on public, tribal, and private lands. That work started in 2023 and included more than 6.8 million acres treated to reduce the risk of severe fire. Projects include removing excess vegetation and restoring fire-adapted ecosystems. The two agencies are also working to improve recruiting and retention. Part of that effort designates more than $560 million in temporary pay increases funded through the bipartisan infrastructure law. And historic buildings are a celebrated feature of the mining city, but many old buildings are in need of some TLC. Tuesday, a team met with the U.S. General Services Administration, who visited the 120-year-old Mike Mansfield Federal Courthouse in Butte to announce more than $24 million in renovations and upgrades. The work will be funded through the Inflation Reduction Act. It's one of 150 similar projects taking place nationwide.
It really is a triple win. When the president talks about investing in America, it really is about investing in Americans' jobs and innovation, investing in things that are going to reduce costs for taxpayers by lowering energy costs, and improving the environment and the climate for our kids in the next generation.
To have this building here preserved.
Administrator Robin Carhan says the upgrades will protect the historic building while saving taxpayers money. She says the savings will come from emerging technologies like geothermal energy. And according to planners, the upgrades will allow the facility to run on 100% electric power and reduce energy consumption by 40%. The project will begin in 2026, and it's expected to last through 2029. And Bozeman city leaders appointed Emma Bodie to serve on city commission. Yesterday, on a 4-0 vote, she was picked out of a pool of 11 applicants. More than 250 public comments were made. Dozens of residents made public comment. Most residents who showed up to the meeting urged city leaders to pick a commissioner that made housing a priority. Bodie will serve the remainder of the term, which ends in December of 2025. And if you live in Montana, then you live in bear country. And as we enter the summer months, hiking season is reaching its peak. So our Cassidy Powers checked in with Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks about the importance of carrying bear spray.
If you're out on a hike and you run into this, you're going to want to know how to protect yourself. So let's talk about the basic facts of bear spray as hiking season ramps up.
What bear spray is, it's a concentrated capsaicin oil or hot chili pepper oil.
Unlike pepper spray, bear spray is a safety mechanism used to deter bears and other wildlife in emergency situations. Bear attacks are fairly rare in Montana, averaging about 1 per year according to Fish, Wildlife and Parks, or FWP. But bears are still wild animals and can be unpredictable, which is why you should carry bear spray.
What it does is it inhibits a bear's ability to see and breathe and smell, and 90+% of the time when it's used properly has changed the bear's behavior.
Montana has the highest grizzly bear population in the lower 48 states. FWP estimates there's thousands of grizzlies in Montana alone. So I asked Morgan Jacobson, the information officer for Region 3 of Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks. What type of trails do you think people should be carrying bear spray on?
Anywhere in Montana.
And I was curious if local hikers were following this advice.
Are you carrying bear spray today?
I'm not, no.
Are you carrying bear spray today?
No.
Are you carrying bear spray today?
I am not.
To my surprise, everyone I asked said they were not carrying bear spray, mostly because they thought the trails they were hiking were too populated for bears. But according to Morgan,
the location is less important than actually just carrying it.
Morgan tells me most bear attacks where a person is injured are unexpected and can occur in under 2 or 3 seconds. So having bear spray readily accessible is vital.
Some people will carry it on their hip or in a side pocket.
Hikers should also be sure they know how to use bear spray before hitting the trails. So Morgan showed me the basics. Remove the safety tab, and when the animal is about 60 feet away, deploy 2 to 3 second blasts, aiming low to create a ground cloud for the bear to run into.
If you're close enough to a bear to deploy bear spray, we encourage people to do that. We want to reinforce that behavior that we want to keep bears wild in wild places. We want people to be safe, and bear spray is one way to get there.
For more information, visit our website. In Bozeman, Cassidy Powers, MTN News.
Well, Montana is some of the most beautiful backcountry ever out there, but you always got to be prepared when you're heading back there.
You definitely want to be bear aware.
Yep, that's absolutely a fact. Now, before we head into a break, I never thought that I would share this on Montana This Morning. C-SPAN video. Now, C-SPAN is kind of a congressional live stream of Congress. They have a new rising star.
Yes,
they do. Little kid back there.
Cute. He's got a nice little cheese going on.
He does. This is the son of U.S. Representative John Rose, spotted smiling and making some funny faces at the camera.
I suspect this is kind of how Chet got his start in television.
I think so too. He just kind of showed up in the background, sort of cheesing a little bit. See, okay, well, maybe I'll listen to Dad a little bit. I don't know. And then, well, It just gets better and better. And
Everybody, why aren't you guys taking me serious? What do you mean?
I know. And you can see the dad sort of smiling a little bit. I mean, it's just so funny. And as any person that visits Congress does, he was haggled by some press people afterwards, asking questions like, "Sir, did you like being on TV?" No.
No.
Maybe
a little. That is so cute.
I thought it was great. The dad did say that he kind of blames himself because he said maybe give a wave to your brother that's watching at home. And well, the kid took that and he ran with it.
I'm with him.
I do too.
Again, I still think that's how Chet got started in television.
I think so too. You take your opportunity where you see it, so you got to run with it. Now, 6:15, we're going to take a short break here on Montana This Morning. But when we come back, well, reports show that nationwide public school enrollment is expected to drop over the next several years by about 5%. Scripps News goes in depth with this issue coming up after the break.